Today we're talking about the ONEWHEEL Pint. Now if you've seen any of my videos and my vlogs from back a couple months ago, you probably might have seen the device that I use to go around campus and go around Atlanta, and that is the ONEWHEEL Pint. Now, there's a few things that I'm going to be covering in today's video, most namely, what is the ONEWHEEL Pint, some of its key features, how it compares to other devices like the ONEWHEEL XR and the boosted boards, my experience using it in college, a quick little vlog showing me trying to relearn how to ride the ONEWHEEL Pint using my left leg, then closing out with me discussing whether or not it's a worthy investment, and then closing out with my final thoughts. So with that being said, there's a lot of content to go into this video, so let's go ahead and get started with the ONEWHEEL Pint. Alright, so first let's just talk about the ONEWHEEL Pint, the device. It's an electric board which has one wheel, as the name implies. It's a one wheel. And that's about it. Like, the explanation is just that simple. It's an electric board that has one wheel and you can ride it. And the features are what makes it more special though. It has a host of variety of features that I think make it really unique and really fun to ride. And I'll discuss that later on in my own experiences, which is in a later section. But let's just talk about the features of this device for now. The ONEWHEEL Pint has a range of 6 to 8 miles, which is about 10 to 13 kilometers, which is a pretty far distance, especially if you're talking about riding around in a city or something like that. If you're trying to use it to commute to work, that might be a bit of a stretch unless your workplace is around 6 to 8 miles away, and even then, I wouldn't recommend going the full length without bringing your charger along with you. Now, as for the terrain that can be used on, it can be literally used on almost any solid surface. Pavement, gravel, grass, dirt. It even works on sand. And so it really has a huge advantage over a lot of other boards, which can pretty much only go down paved cement or asphalt or concrete. As for the battery life, it kind of just depends on how much you use it and how far you go on a single charge. The battery indicator is a bar that is on the front pad of the ONEWHEEL, and it is white originally to indicate how much battery you have left. As you use the ONEWHEEL more and more, the battery indicator light will shrink more and more until it hits a indicator range, which is orange, which is a warning sign, and then it goes to red before finally dying out. As for the recharge rate, is actually fairly fast. You just plug it into your wall or outlet, and it recharges from 0 to full in about 2 hours or so, which is really great. Because that means if you bring your charger with you, you pretty much have an unlimited range. You just have to wait 2 hours at a time for you to recharge your ONEWHEEL when it runs out of juice, charge it, wait 2 hours, and then go on your merry way. So you can really get a lot of range out of the machine if you really want to. As for the safety mechanisms, because this is a one-wheeled board, there's a lot of concerns, I think, over safety and whether or not it's a machine that can actually be usable. And according to the ONEWHEEL website, there's a lot of safety precautions and measures built into the machine. So for example, if you go too fast, it'll give you a little warning rock back so you can know that you're going too fast and to tell you to slow down. But if you do keep speeding up even after it kind of pushes back to tell you that you're going too fast, you probably will end up crashing the board and injuring yourself. So that is something to be careful of. Disembarking though is no issue. At the beginning of the board, when you first get it, you will have the safety beginner mode on, which means that you just have to lean back a little bit to disengage the motor, and then you'll be able to safely disembark. They also have a lot of machinery inside the wheel to make sure that your balance is kept well. And so for the first few days of riding the board, obviously your legs won't be used to it, your body won't be used to balancing on the board, and so it will be a lot more difficult to ride the machine. But after a couple of uses, after a couple of days getting used to the way the board works and how you use your body to control it, it's a lot more natural. So now let's talk about how this machine compares in terms of its older brother, which is the XR, and other brands such as Boosted. Now the Boosted is a different category of electric board. It's actually more akin to a skateboard than the ONEWHEEL is because it has 4 wheels and it's small and the wheels are hard. The only difference is that the Boosted is electric and skateboards obviously aren't. So the Boosted has a much longer range built into its battery. You can probably go between 12 to 18 miles instead of 6 to 8, which the Pint has. And you can also go much faster speeds. The caveat to that, however, is that the boosted boards can only go on relatively smooth surfaces. If you have anything that has to do anything with like dirt or grass or anything that's not smooth and paved, you probably won't be able to take your boosted on there. In addition, you probably also shouldn't be riding the boosted in wet conditions. And that is one thing that the ONEWHEEL exceeds in. Because the ONEWHEEL has such a huge wheel, the traction it has on the ground is much bigger than the 4 wheels on the boosted combined, which allows you to ride pretty safely even on wet surfaces. So when it's raining or things like that, it's really convenient even to take your ONEWHEEL out and ride it out in the open, whereas if you had your boosted, you probably shouldn't be doing that. We're comparing it to the XR. The XR is also a ONEWHEEL, so it's kind of like in the same family. But the Pint is smaller and it's more portable and it's easier to carry and it's easier to just fit into smaller spaces or just spaces in general. The XR, however, has a longer range. It's about 10 to 12 miles, I think. The battery is bigger, the wheel is bigger, and the pads are bigger. So it's a bit easier to first get used to riding that instead of the Pint because the Pint is smaller. That being said though, it is a bigger wheel and there isn't a handle that is on the side of the wheel that makes it really easy to carry like the Pint does. Instead, it actually has a bigger groove on the front of the pad, which allows you to carry it like that. One thing that I should also note that it's 2 times more expensive than the Pint. So the XR is around $2,000, the Pint is around $1,000. So also keep that distinction in mind. So now let's go ahead and talk about my experience using it while in college. As you might have seen in a lot of my vlogs, I've actually used this machine to go basically everywhere. Every single day I've used it to go to class, go to events, go to other people's houses, just travel all around campus. It's been really great. The experience on riding a ONEWHEEL is basically something that you kind of have to experience it for yourself to know. But it really is a really fun experience. Now you do have to get used to it. The first time I rode it, my legs were shaking so bad I knew I was gonna fall off. And the first day I did fall off a lot. It took me a lot of practice and a lot of dedication to just going slowly to get my legs used to balancing on the board. And once I even just fell on my back, just straight up, I did basically like a backflip. I ended up on my backpack, which saved my life. But that was the only time that I kind of had like a really bad fall. The other times I kind of fell, but I kind of just jumped off. So I didn't really like injure myself too much. But after getting used to it, some people have described it like just standing on a cloud. I wouldn't really say it's as smooth as standing on a cloud, but I feel the experience was somewhat comparable. As long as I rode on a smooth paved road, the experience was like none other. It was really incredible. The only thing I'd say is you can't go fast, and if you do try to go fast, you're going to face plant. And that happened to me exactly twice, which ended up in a few injuries, but they were nothing too serious. Another thing that you have to be careful of is if you're on uneven terrain, you really have to pay attention, because if you lose your balance and you go flying at 10, 12, 15 miles per hour, that's not going to be a good day for you. You're going to end up with some sort of injuries one way or another. And that's coming from personal experience. So if you do get a ONEWHEEL or decide to try it out, definitely pay attention to that. And really, using the board is super intuitive, because using the boosted, you kind of have to use a remote to speed up and slow down. You're using an external member of your body to control how fast or how slow your board goes. But with the ONEWHEEL, you're only using your legs. You're basically using your entire body and using that and using your balance to kind of go everywhere, to lean right, to lean left, to slow down, to speed up. And so it becomes like a really intuitive process once you actually get used to riding the board. And so I think that's something that I really enjoy. It's something that I think is unique to the ONEWHEEL, because it's pretty much, I think, the only device that I've seen so far that allows you to have such control over your board using only your body and no external devices. So with that being said, that is the conclusion of my experience using it. Now let's go ahead and switch to a time when I tried to ride this using my left leg, which is my non-dominant leg. And you can probably see in the clips that it's not easy to use the ONEWHEEL when you're first learning. And let's go ahead and roll that clip. Okay, so right now what I'm going to try to do is I'm actually going to try to relearn how to ride my ONEWHEEL, because originally when I first got the ONEWHEEL, it took me only about 1 day or so to learn how to ride this somewhat comfortably, like at least ride it and not fall off. And that was riding with my predominant leg, which was my right leg. But now I'm going to try to learn it with my left leg, and we're going to see how that goes. Right leg here, left leg there. Okay, that clearly did not work. Let me try it again. The issue is with riding this ONEWHEEL, it puts a lot of strain and pressure on your legs for you to balance, and so you'll see like a lot of like wobbly legs, and that's what I'm expecting, because this is, yeah, okay. Let's see how this second time goes. Okay, so I'm moving, but as you can see, it's really uh-oh, and there's a car, so whoa. Also, everybody who's trying to learn how to ride, I definitely do not recommend riding or learning how to ride without a helmet on, even though I don't have a helmet on. As they always say, do as I say and not as I do. But I am, in all seriousness, gonna get a helmet, because eventually, because it really is kind of dangerous, you know, riding something that's going 20, 12, 15, 16 miles an hour without a helmet, just not a good idea. So a couple times I've actually fallen, and going like at that high speed, I've injured like this part of my body here. I fell once on my hip, got that damaged, and a couple of times on my arms. And so definitely not recommended to ride the ONEWHEEL without like any protection whatsoever. I was just being stupid, and I did it, and I faced the consequences. So yeah, if you don't want to get injuries, and if you don't want to have days and days and days of injuries and band-aids and things like that, I recommend you get protective equipment before you even try riding one of these things. Anyways, the thing is, like, I'm not used to it yet. Like, I can ride it, but I can't go fast. And that's just entirely because I haven't gotten used to it yet. As you can see, I'm already stuttering because I'm trying to concentrate on not falling off and talking at the same time. So that is a bit of a challenge, but it's something that I can get used to for sure. And so also vlogging my first time trying to like comfortably ride my ONEWHEEL is giving me a bit of anxiety, which is why I'm riding very slowly. But as you can see, I haven't made a big mistake yet, thankfully. Turns are always the hardest. I always had the most trouble when I was first learning how to ride the ONEWHEEL on campus to do turns, and turns are just, they're the absolute worst. And as well, as you can see, this is the level of riding that I got to just about when I was on my first day like of getting the ONEWHEEL anyways. So I think I'll call it a wrap here, and you know, I'll be continuing to ride using my non-dominant leg, obviously, so I can get more practice with that. But anyways, time to head back, because it's kind of like, it's getting dark out, and so yeah, I'll see you back inside. So with that being said, with all of this kind of information stuffed into this video, I'd like to just give a few parting comments before ending the video. And whether I'd recommend it or not, it depends on how much free money you have floating around you. Because this board is definitely, I have a category as a nice to have. On campus, I like to say it's necessary for me because I use it to go to classes and go around campus all the time. But there are bus systems that take students from place place to place, and there's also, you can use your legs to walk from place to place. You'd probably get more exercise doing it that way too. But it's really like a really fun device to have. And well, for me especially, because I also do filmmaking, I shoot videos, it's a nice little stabilizer for me to get more stable shots when I'm moving instead of just walking. And so that's a plus for that. But it really is a nice to have. And at $1,000, you could probably just buy like a nice computer setup, like a desktop, or even like a nice laptop, or even like a really nice phone. So if you have the cash laying around, then I'd say definitely give it a try with the ONEWHEEL Pint, and I think you'll really enjoy the experience. But if you don't have that much cash at your disposal, then I'd probably say, you know, if you have a friend who has a ONEWHEEL, then definitely give it a shot. Like get that experience through, but I wouldn't really say it's a necessity to have. That being said, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you got a lot of useful info out of it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel down below. And if you like the video, smash that like button, leave a comment down below for me to respond to, and I'll see you all in next week's video. Ciao.